Okay, so I am back. I actually like coming on here and like uploading videos and just giving my take on things. I am not going to, I don't want all my content to be about Life of a Free Spirit. I'm good on that. I'm not going to, like fluctuate with her emotions and, squeeze, lemonade out of a lemon. I'm just not going to do that. Like, if I happen to, and I'm not going to keep watching her to make a video. Like, that's her thing, that's her community. I'm not, I just don't have like the patience. But if there's like an update, like something actually happens that if I want to talk about it, then I'll come on here and talk about it. But I can just actually talk about like other things. So I had mentioned on my last video, I had mentioned the Johnny Depp trial, and as you know, or as you should know, that Johnny Depp actually ended up winning that case. But the crazy thing about that relationship was there was an incident that she had lied about, essentially, and it was the night that he got his finger severed off after she threw a bottle at him. Now, he was in an abusive relationship, so when he went, I don't think he went to the hospital. He has his own doctors that come to him. So, and I don't know if he went to a private doctor or something, but he said that he told them that he got his finger caught in, I think, like some sort of door, and even though the doctor said that like this injury is not even consistent with what you're saying, like it wouldn't, if what you're saying happened, you wouldn't have sustained this type of injury. But he lied for her to protect her. And oftentimes, people, I think the world is coming to like the realization that women are not the only people that can be abused. Anyone, any gender could actually be abused and be in an abusive relationship. And people often think, well, you're stronger than this. One person is supposed to be stronger than the other person, so how could they get abused? Just because a person has brute strength and they could fight off another person doesn't mean that they actually would in a relationship, because you have to understand that, like, love is there. Love is what's holding it all together. It's like the glue. So you push through the bad times to get to the good times. But then what starts to happen is that the bad times start to be more often. It actually becomes the reality. And the good times, you're chasing after that. And quite frankly, when you're in an abusive relationship, you hold on to the good times so tight, and you make it so big in your mind that you just wait for the bad times to it's like you wait for it to be done. You wait for it to stop. But it doesn't. And so the night that Johnny Depp got his finger severed off after Amber Heard threw a bottle at him, she actually alleged that she was sexually assaulted. And the story that she comes up with, the reason why it's so disturbing is because it didn't happen. But the way that she, Johnny Depp's lawyer went frame by frame. Okay, what happened first? Okay, what happened second? What happened third? What happened fourth? And that's how you break down a person's lie. You have to go frame by frame. And she was able to do that, and she basically poked holes in her story. And it's so disturbing when someone can lie about something like that, especially, okay, like, for those that know about the trial, what ended up coming out about Johnny Depp was that he had a drug problem. He had issues with drugs, and he actually got clean on his island, and then with Amber, and then he actually ended up doing the rest of it on his own. But the scary part about it is that when you're under the influence, you do things, or you have the capability of doing things, right? And the scariest thing about being accused of doing something like sexual assault, you don't know if you actually did that, but then you do know. But then you kind of question yourself, like, oh, I'm not sure, because I was under the influence. So she definitely did a good job of making, I'm sure, during a relationship, she made Johnny Depp question himself. But he knew enough, or he was older than her. So I guess, when you've lived long enough, you know how you are on certain drugs. If you've done them and you're fine and you have a high tolerance, then no one can tell you what you did when you were under the influence. And so, but I think that, sadly, she made him feel like an addict, like somebody that was just addicted to drugs and didn't know or didn't remember what they did. But what she described, I'm so glad that Johnny Depp's lawyers broke it down frame by frame, because it didn't make any sense. She said that, he grabbed her, by the hair, he pinned her up against the wall, and then at some point they fell on the, like a ping pong table, and that somehow he got and this is with the tip of his finger missing. Somehow he got a bottle and used that on her to assault her. And it was the most, like, you know, it's pretty scary, like, when you break up with somebody and, you know, or when you're in a relationship with someone and it's towards the end and you know that this person doesn't give two craps about you or what happens to you, but it intensifies when the person is out of your sight. Like, you guys don't no longer deal with each other, you no longer live with one another. Like, say the relationship is done and you guys are kind of still living with one another, but when you depart from one another, it gets so ugly. And one party can make up the biggest lie. The biggest lie. And I could just see, like, I remember Johnny Depp. I remember looking at him because the camera was on him and he kept looking down. And sometimes he would shake his head. And sometimes he just looked like queasy. Like he was sick to his stomach to hear her, like to just be around her and her mess. And like, I could not believe that she could make up a story like that. And she couldn't tell it. She couldn't tell it enough where it made sense. And I was just like, wow, like, this woman is, an habitual liar, like, you know, and like I said in my last video, the evidence that she showed, like, she said that he trashed her, he like ramshacked her, closet where her clothes was. There was no pictures of that. There wasn't even pictures of injuries. And you know what was a saving grace? He actually went out, like a lot of times when these incidents happen, they went out in public. They went to a premiere or something like that, and pictures was taken. Thankfully, pictures was actually taken. So it showed the lie. It showed how she lied. Like, you know, hold on. Helicopter. I'm sure you probably... I think my last video, the wind was blowing. I was like, oh, I know people ain't got the patience. They ain't got the patience. They probably clicked off the video like, tighten up. But, what was I saying? The pictures, right? She couldn't show certain pictures. And then, like I said, after these incidents, a lot of times they would go out to a premiere. A picture was taken, like... And that was a saving grace for Johnny Depp. Because certain places where she said, oh, he broke my nose, he blacked my eye, he did this and that to my face, it would show her untouched. Nothing wrong with her. No swelling, no nothing. And she tried to say, oh, well, you know, that makeup, you know, like makeup does wonders. No, it doesn't. Makeup does not do wonders. Especially if, like, these events will be right after these supposed times of abuse, incidents of abuse. So, like, that was a saving grace, too. Because it just clearly showed, like, she's lying. And, so this video is 11 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. I'll come back with something else. I'll think of something else. Maybe I want to react to something else. I'm just, like, kind of, like, I'll say, like, it was a thing for me to be watching. I watched, you know, clips of the Johnny Depp trial. And it was, like, I think, close to a month. And so, like, I think I've seen everything. But if I think of anything else, I'll let you know. And, yeah.